Welcome back. Let's play Final Fantasy XII. We are about to go into storehouse number 5. Yeah, let's go in. There was supposed to be a scene with Kites here talking about how he had to get the door open and he needed to go find the proper parts to get the door open. We're not going to be seeing that because I had previously been in there. And something it's not really important, but I'm going to go through this anyway because it's going to be a fairly long dungeon. What had happened was I had played through this game back when I built my new computer. One of the things I had gone and tried to do, just to see how well it worked, was bring up this game playing in full HD at 1080p. See if it would work, because my old computer would not emulate this game at that high of a resolution. So it didn't work. It played like at 30 or 40 frames per second, which wasn't high enough because that emulator, the PCS X2 emulator, definitely only likes to work at 60 frames per second. Couldn't get it to work. But so when I went and built this computer, I had gone and tried it out, and the game worked beautifully, just friggin' perfect. So I took that as like, oh, I'm just going to sit down, and I got drawn into the game, and I played it, and I played it, and I'd gotten actually pretty damn far, up in, about 5 or 6, what would be the equivalent of 5 or 6 episodes further along from this point. So then I figured, oh geez, I'm getting drawn into playing this game, so I might as well do an LP of it. So I started over. And I started back from the beginning, recording my gameplay and all that kind of stuff. And then I gotten up to round about the same point in which I had stopped playing before, and I realized, Jesus, the last 5 episodes I had recorded, I can't hear the frickin' audio. I can't hear my commentary. Because the stupid audio output levels that I had set up were not good enough with my headset's microphone, and I couldn't hear my commentary for half the episodes. The first half I could hear it fine because I'd set the settings up properly. For some reason, though, the second half, those settings changed without my knowledge or my input or whatever. Maybe they defaulted back to the way they originally were. It was wrong, and just couldn't frickin' hear it. So I loaded up a save game that I had made of that first playthrough, and that's what I'm doing now. Jump back into this, which is unfortunately going to have the effect of my setup for Vaan is slightly different. He has his licenses are a little bit different than they were before. I have some different equipment, but overall I'm basically progressing along the same lines that I was before. My strategy really didn't change. It's just by luck to draw the items that I find, or the amount of enemies that I kill and all that kind of stuff is really the only difference. Get back here so I can kill you, rat. So I just want to make that, I just felt like making that distinction. I definitely had time to do it. This is going to be a long dungeon, especially if I insist on killing so many of these dire rats that I stumble across. Okay, Vaan has decided to go and break into the palace, and what he had said what he had wanted to do was to go back and steal back the things that belonged to the people of Dalmasca, because when the Arcadian Empire came in and invaded, they basically took Dalmascan property. Of course, that's really just sort of an excuse. What he wants is to go and steal stuff for his own benefit, and that's where a pretty big distinction between his personality and that of Rex can be made. Rex was a Dalmatian soldier, a young one, but he was definitely a young but proud knight. Was definitely someone who wasn't out for his own benefit. He was there, as Bosch had said, he wasn't there for love of fighting, he was there to protect, I guess, his king at the time, or love of his country, or whatever like that. So his his reasons for being there were very different than the reasons why Vaan is doing what he's doing. Even though he says it's to take back the stuff, it's really rather much more self-interest is more of his motivation here rather than what he claims, at least. And I guess you could really think of that being an environmental kind of thing. They both had lost their parents. Vaan here also had to endure the loss of his brother, and the loss of his brother due to the war. I guess just maybe different points, experiences in their lives have changed their outlooks and all that kind of stuff. I don't know what I'm doing. I don't expect to get good equipment out of killing dire rats. Usually you're going to get crap regardless of how many you chain. You know, I've had enough killing these things. Moving on. A little bit later on in this dungeon, we're going to find enemies that are quite a bit tougher than this. But there's really not anything you're going to encounter at this point in the game where it's going to be an enormously difficult thing to defeat them. Now let's take a look at... Okay, I have 22 license points. Previously, I had gone and purchased a lot of armor and a lot of magic. That kind of stuff that was... It may seem a little strange because, well, I couldn't actually equip any of that stuff at the time that I had gone and purchased it because I didn't have the license. But it's going to be a fairly long time between this point and when I'm going to run into another shop again, so I might as well spend the money that I have on equipment that I will be able to use later, and it's kind of a forward-thinking investment. Of course, you do need to kill some things to get the license points, so I guess it's kind of useful that I'm killing off some of these enemies here. But by the time I reach the end of this dungeon, and the next dungeon, and then the one after that, you could say, but before I have a real good opportunity to hit up some shops, buying good equipment and all that kind of stuff. Not just through increases in levels, but through increases in being able to utilize the equipment that I purchased beforehand. Vaan and any other character I happen to have at the time will be quite a bit more powerful than when I start down this track. Boom! Now that I think about it, I hope that the audio levels that I'm recording right now are loud enough that you can hear because, well, if not, all of this is going to be for nothing. I'll have to check it once I finish recording the episode. 9 gil, that was certainly not worth it. Remember that all of your treasures are going to be basically randomly set. You're not going to find the same thing in a... Oh shit, I'm in danger. Haha. You're not going to find the same stuff in your treasure chest every time you play the game. And that's actually kind of a... On one hand, it's kind of frustrating, because every time you play through the game, you're going to have dramatically different equipment on your hands. Like, I could have, at one point, potentially found a quite useful shield or a better weapon that I could have equipped, and it would have changed the way my character plays, as opposed to what I'm doing right now, which is that for the most part I have the base equipment that I could have either started the game with or gone and the base equipment that I could have started the game with or purchased. Okay, that was a point of no return. I cannot go back. From this point, up to this point, I could have gone all the way back to Rabanastre and purchased more things or whatever.
Hmm.